LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I
filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we are back. Hello. So it's important that we do this because the fake news and a good chunk of the podcasting universe let Joe Kent get away with murder. And Joe Kent, the former counterterrorism director who apparently in America's moment of need, when we really have a big terrorist problem, 4 or 5 attacks in the past month, Islamic-inspired attacks, and he decides, hey, now's the time for me to leave government and go on Candace Owens' show. Hey, that's a real patriot, right? No, it's not. It's the opposite of a patriot. It's somebody out for himself. And that's who this guy is. A pretty boy who somebody somewhere at some time said, oh, you're so handsome, you should be in politics. And he's been hooked. Tried running in 2022, lost. Turned around, ran again. 2 years later, lost. President Trump gives him a job. An opportunity. Hey, you're on the team here, right? You get a job. It's like, quite frankly, a little bit is political patronage. That's okay. We got that in our system. You do your part. But it was all about him, not about the cause. I knew that from Joe Kent's book. Nothing about America First, nothing about MAGA, nothing about Forever Wars, all about him. All about glorifying him and his life. And 7 combat tours, then 10 combat tours, then 11 combat tours. Wow, that's a lot of combat tours. We really have to keep our mouths shut and listen to the guy who's been there 11 times. Nope. You may fall for that crap. I'm not going to fall for it. I've been dicked around and jerked around too much with that nonsense. Right? A soft military coup. Hey, be quiet. 11 times in combat. Yeah, well, that might mean... What does it actually mean? If you're going to go around and talk about it so much as he does everywhere, 11 times, and everybody else too. And a lot of Republicans are very impressed with this. And it inhibits the way they react. Well, and even the smidgen of, well, forget it. It was a masterpiece. So I'm going to talk, there's the one little thing that Mark Levin did that I wasn't crazy about, but everything else, this man gets an A++. I'd give him a 99. A 99. I'd give Kent a 0. He doesn't get a perfect score because of one thing, and it's so unimportant right now, I'll come back to it. But are you ready? Let's pick up the conversation on this station that happened last night between Mark Levin and turncoat, out for himself, selfish, wannabe career politician Joe Kent. Go.
I want to read you something, Joe, for you to respond to here. When one of President Trump's closest advisors, who's vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated and we're not allowed to ask any questions about it. It's a data point, you told Carlson, about the murder of our friend Charlie Kirk. It's a data point that we need to look into. What are you trying to look into there? What do you think happened there?
What I know is that there were foreign leads that we didn't get a chance to look into, that we did not thoroughly investigate. That's what I know.
You have any country in mind?
No, I think we need to fully investigate the potential of any foreign nexus.
So you think a foreign country may have been involved in his assassination. Does the FBI think that? What I think is that we need to thoroughly investigate all the potentials. That's what needs to happen. I know, but what I'm trying to find out, you're a smart guy. You're an accomplished guy. Is there something that piqued your interest that caused you to say, maybe there's something foreign and we need to look into this? I mean,
There is. I just can't get into it because it's classified and it's part of an ongoing investigation, I hope. But from my vantage point and from what I saw at the National Counterterrorism Center, that was not thoroughly looked into.
I'm not trying to be rude. Just slow down. I'm a little hard of hearing. Go ahead. What was that? I didn't hear you.
What I said was there were still potential foreign links and leads that we needed to look into. That's what I know. That's what I'm asserting.
So you're not asserting any particular country there?
No, I'm not.
How about Butler? Do you think any foreign government was involved in the attempt to assassinate the president there?
We need to thoroughly investigate that, especially now that Thomas's Crook's online persona has been uncovered. That needs to be looked into as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's Iran, maybe?
We should investigate to see if there's any linkage between Iran, but in particular in between the Iranian agent Asif Merchant, who was just convicted for plotting an assassination attempt against President Trump. That should be looked into to see if those two events are linked. That should definitely be looked into. And I think you'd agree on that, wouldn't you?
100%. And because we know Iran did try to assassinate the president. One guy was just convicted of it, and the other guy's in Iran. So that's...
He was.
But I was just wondering, this statement here, because a lot of Jewish groups and others said you were really focusing on Israel, and you're telling me, no, not at all. It could be any foreign country, correct?
In my statement, my letter of resignation, I say that the Israelis forced President Trump into this war.
No, I'm talking about this that you said on Carlson's show, when a president close to his advisors who's vocally advocating for us not to go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated. We're not allowed to ask questions about that. It's a data point. What's the data point?
The data point is that the investigation, in my view, especially the foreign ties, has not been complete. And that.
Well, why did you bring up the Israelis there? Are you talking about, what are you talking about there? Botswana? I mean, what are you thinking about when you say that? I'm just curious. Just asking questions.
That Charlie was advocating for us not to go to war with Iran and to rethink our relationship with the Israelis, and then he is killed. This needs to be looked into. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say. Rich, can you play what Charlie said after the president ordered the dropping of the bombs in June on those sites in Iran? Go ahead.
And you might say, Charlie, do you support or oppose this? I support President Trump. That's my answer. I know the man. He's the commander-in-chief. He's the man for the hour, and he's had the weight of the world on his shoulders. So in a situation like this, I support my friend, and he's had my back and I have his. That's my perspective. By the way, I also look at this and I say, and I understand the arguments of people that, don't intervene and all that. I get it. But boy, have we not exhausted so many diplomatic channels and options.
What do you think of that?
I didn't resign after Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was a targeted operation that did not result in a further continuation of the war.
I'm not talking about why you resigned. I'm talking about, hold on. I'm talking about, that was Charlie's comment about the president ordering the bombing of those nuclear sites in Iran. Right?
Right.
And you were talking about,
I heard that
about Charlie being assassinated. Right?
Right. He was against the regime change war that's taking place right now.
Okay, hold on. I'm not talking about
Midnight Hammer and the bombing was two completely different things. Targeted operations are completely different.
You were talking about the assassination.
As we've seen with the ramifications.
When one of President's closest advisors, who's vocally advocating for us not to go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated. President Trump wasn't talking about hitting Iran again in September. We're talking about June.
We knew that after Midnight Hammer, it was evident that the Israelis still wanted regime change in Iran, and they were going to continue to push.
How did the Israelis get all this power over President Trump? He says to you, that's not right. Radcliffe says, that's not right. Hegseth says, that's not right. So I don't know what the vice president said to you, but why do you keep insisting on it when they keep insisting it's not true?
because in real time over the course of the last year, we watched the Israelis through their official engagements with members of our government and the media echo chamber, which I believe you were a part of, move President Trump's red line from saying that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon to saying Iran can't have any enrichment, because President Trump and the former supreme leader of Iran agreed that Iran was not going to get a nuclear weapon. They were going to get
and you believed them.
Table.
You believe
so them. I believe that 18 members of the intelligence community.
Well, apparently it wasn't 18 because the CIA director said you're wrong.
Well, the coordinated assessment that the CIA sent to the ODNI said that they were not working towards getting a nuclear bomb because the supreme leader had a prohibition on the development of nuclear weapons.
So you believed his fatwa. I mean, this is kind of foolish. So they put out a fatwa. The guy just lied about the distance. Hold on. The guy lied about the distance of their ballistic missiles in February. His foreign minister did.
Then why didn't Iran have a nuclear weapon? They've been trying. If they've been trying.
Then why didn't Iran have what?
2004. Why didn't they have a nuclear weapon? If Iran wanted,
why do you think they didn't have a nuclear weapon? Because we and the Israelis and perhaps other countries stopped them with cyber warfare and other things. I'm not even understanding your argument. Let's try it this way. Let's go back to basics.
No, we had no intelligence that said that Iran was working to develop a nuclear weapon. That information came from the Israelis, and then
it came from Witkoff, who directly said we were negotiating with the Iranians. That they told us. Right. Hold on. I need the public to understand this.
There's no.
All right, you go first, then I'll go.
President Trump said no nuclear weapons, and then through official engagements through the Israelis, and then also the media echo chamber that wanted regime change in Iran, said no. We need to say that the Iranians can't.
What about the media echo chamber, your buddies who didn't want regime change in Iran? There's a lot of echo chambers out there, wouldn't you say?
It appears that your media echo chamber was much more successful.
No, it wasn't. I never lobbied the president. Hey, pay attention to me. I never lobbied the president. You guys keep putting that crap out there. I met with the president once at his request. And I said to the president, ready for this, Joe? I said, they're saying out there that I'm lobbying you. You know what he did? He laughed. You know what he said? Mark, I know where you stand. I watch your show on Saturday and Sunday. Anything I say here, pay attention. Anything I say here is what I would say. I did what?
You can lobby him by using the power of your show. The power of your
come on, brother. You're sounding almost
stop
ridiculous
for a second.
now.
He really is. This is a guy who just, sometimes when you spend too much time in the military, right, like he did, the world passes you by. He's just not up to speed on how things work. He's an amateur. Joe Kent is an amateur. And he can tell he just thinks to plow on. No, he's not an effective communicator at all. I'm enjoying this. Keep going, Mark Levin.
Let's go on. I have a question. There's been a big controversy now. Andrew Covid now. Mediaite's covered it. Other people have covered it. He put out a video. He gave you text messages confidentially. Hold on, man. Let me just get the question out. You can dispute it.
Text messages to anybody.
But I have to explain it to the public. If you wait. Hold on. So they got. What is it? Why don't you want to answer this? You won't even let me set up the question. He said that he gave you text messages from Charlie Kirk, all this discussion about the Israelis and donors and so forth, that you called him and you said, make it public. He said, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. And then the next thing he knows, Candace Owens has it, and she makes it public, and she's off to the races, just like you and Tucker and the rest. Did that happen or not? Did you give it to Candace Owens, yes or no?
I did not give anything to Candace Owens, no.
Hey, stop, stop. That's the he said that pretty quick. I did not give anything to Candace Owens. Well, did your friend? Did somebody else? Huh? Give. Maybe you, I don't know, sent? Maybe it wasn't a gift? If you tell the truth carefully enough, you never have to lie. 800. That's an old adage that I don't subscribe to. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Congratulations, Mark Levin. More of that when we come back.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, a lot of calls here about the Mark Levin interview, but I want to get it all in. We have a bit of a ways to go. And I want to go back to Mark Levin with Joe Kent, the former counterterrorism director at DNI, who is a treacherous lowlife in my book with an ego complex. Go ahead. Resume, please.
No, so you've never leaked. You didn't give anything to Candace Owens. I have a much higher regard for you now. That's the truth.
Okay.
I don't care for what you've done. When you put that letter out, you knew it would do maximum damage to the president, didn't you? The timing, for instance, if you were going to resign because you didn't agree with this war, why didn't you resign when the war started?
Because I was hoping that we would immediately de-escalate and try and get back to the negotiating table.
We would start a war and de-escalate in 3 days?
I was hoping that we were
Where's
going
that
to do
ever
limited
happen?
strikes. And then limited strikes like we did in Midnight Hammer, and then back off and go back to the negotiating table. Once I realized that was not going to happen, and we were spiraling deeper into this, and we were starting to lose brave men and women in yet another Middle Eastern war driven by the Israeli agenda, that's what led me to resign.
You got a real hate on.
To make it public.
You got a real hate on, brother. No, you do. Hold on, Joe. When I had you on my show, I read your texts. I read them out loud. And you've done a 180. Why is that? Because you had access to intelligence or something? Why have you changed completely?
I have not done a 180. I have no problem with us working with Israel. I have a problem with Israel driving our foreign policy in the Middle East as they have done to get us into this war.
Do you have no respect for Donald Trump's agency, that he has the capacity to make these decisions himself?
I have the utmost respect for the president. You can read my letter.
You didn't answer my question. You don't sound like it.
I believe that he was influenced by the media echo chamber and by the Israelis.
Well, maybe he's influenced by your media echo chamber. Or maybe he's influenced by the Saudis and the Qatar. Who knows? He made a decision. Can't you accept the fact that he's a great president, that he took in all this information, he listened to all his advisors, and he made a decision? You may disagree with it, but why do you create a conspiratorial notion that Israel, 9.5 million people, a tiny economy and everything, dragged powerful Donald Trump, the United States, into war? Not one. You even have them dragging us into the Iraq war when on the record they said they didn't want to do the Iraq war. They opposed us doing it. Where'd you come up with that one?
In this administration, I watched the Israeli media.
You were there 7 months.
Of the Israeli government. I watched that. I came in day one, and I worked as the DNI's chief of staff until I was confirmed. So
by the way, does Tulsi Gabbard agree with you?
You have to ask her. But what I did see is...
All right, put it on pause for a second, all right? I love it. Mark Levin. This guy is a phony and a fraud and a dimwit. Not smart, actually. Not smart. Just a pretty boy. A pretty boy who loves looking at himself in the mirror, wants more people to look at him. 11 times in combat. My ass. My rear end. You know, this son of a bitch. Faker.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I am anxious to hear what you guys think about this, but I think it's spectacular. A man is being exposed for what he is, a fraud. There's just one component that I understand why Mark is not going there, but that's fine. I will. The whole military record. All right, pick it up if you don't mind. Mark Levin with Joe Kent last night on this station.
Israeli media echo chamber, and I'm not going to speak for Tulsi Gabbard. What I'm telling you is the red line.
You're speaking for the president. You said he was convinced by Israel.
No, I'm speaking for Joe Kent. That's why I resigned, so I could speak freely. I watched the.
By the way, that's very interesting.
No nukes to enrichment.
Go ahead.
What we watched, the red line moved from no nukes to no enrichment. That basically short-circuited the ability for there to be a deal, leading us basically to a military conflict that was driven by Israel.
What does that mean? Slow down, Joe. What does that mean? No nukes to nuclear enrichment. What does that mean?
That's a great question. So President Trump has always said, and I think most people agree, that Iran can't get a nuclear bomb. Now, the former Supreme Leader agreed, and he had that fatwa in place. So that gave the Iranians
the fatwa meant crap.
To get to the negotiating table.
That's where you and I disagree. Guy has a fatwa in place. Slaughters 50,000 of his own people. It's not. Hey,
Well,
Joe, he's a terrorist.
Mark, I believe the 18 intelligence agencies that said that Iran was not developing a
But
nuclear
guess
weapon,
what?
the
The president
Foxtrot
agrees with his own conclusions. That is, that you're wrong.
Okay, well, let's go back to
Mr.
the
Radcliffe
headline.
believes you are wrong. The Secretary of Defense believes you're wrong. The Secretary of State believes you're wrong. And I can go right down the list.
Well, actually,
By the way, name the 18 intelligence agencies that agree with you, Joe. I don't even know what they are.
We don't have that much time, Mark. It's the intelligence community of the United States. Most people can look those up. There was unanimous agreement by the IC that Iran was not developing a nuclear weapon.
All right, I got to take a break.
So,
we'll come back. I'm going to let you finish, Joe. I'm going to let you finish. Hold your thought. I got to take a break. It's the nature of radio and TV and all the rest of it. So stick with me.
Mark Levin.
All right, we're not going to take that break. We can hopefully go right back into it, okay? A lot of people thought that, oh, wow, Mark Levin was running to a break. No. I mean, number one, he had to. That's the way it works. This guy talks and talks and talks and doesn't really make a point, right? Those who are rooting for him say, he just said that. But only people like totally familiar and on Joe Kent's side could think that Joe Kent is winning this thing. You ready? All right, pick back up.
The president said he decided to take these steps because the Iranians weren't negotiating in good faith. His envoys come back to him and say, they just told us they have all this nuclear material, and that they're not going to give it up, and they're not going to give it to a third party, and a number of other things. And you say it was Israel. Explain.
The Israelis launched the attack, and we knew that the Iranians would counterattack. That is the only imminent attack was actually the Israelis launching the attack. So that's what got us into this.
That's been denied, Joe.
We were in.
Hold on, Joe. The president of the United States said
that's okay.
He dragged the Israelis in.
Right. Initially, the Secretary of State, the Speaker of the House, Secretary of Defense, they all said that we had to attack because the Israelis were going to attack.
So they're all lying
now.
From
my vantage point, that's what I saw as well.
They're all lying now, Joe?
What I saw was the Israelis driving us because they wanted the regime change war. They wanted to force our hand to make the Iranians to attack Iran, to make the Iranians counterattack us, so that we would be in the conflict.
I think you're extremely conspiratorial. I think that you're ignoring what all the other senior officials and the president have said. I really do. And I hope when you tell me you haven't leaked, because all these people in the White House say you have, that you're telling me the truth. I have no reason to disbelieve you. I hope when you tell me that you didn't leak those texts to Candace Owens, I hope you're telling me the truth. I hope when you're telling me 18 intelligence agencies all came together and said that the Iranians are not close to getting nukes, I hope you're telling me the truth. And also
public testimony in Congress.
Yeah, well, we have public testimony in Congress from one of them, the CIA director, that says you're full of baloney.
The ODNI, who's responsible for representing the 18 intelligence community, 18
But
agencies,
he's the CIA. He's the big dog.
We're not.
And I asked you what Gabbard, but I asked you Gabbard's attitude, and you said I have to interview her.
An agency contributed to the assessment.
Okay.
You asked me about her.
Who makes the final decision, Joe? Takes in all the information that the agencies put together. Who does that? You or the president?
The president does, but in this case, the Israelis decided to
Did the intelligence agencies miss 9/11, or was that the Israelis too? Did the intelligence agencies miss Pearl Harbor, or was that the Israelis too? I'm really worried about you, brother. I really am. When you were first on my show, you seemed pretty straightforward and sane about this stuff.
I am pretty straightforward, and I don't think a foreign government should be allowed to dictate when we go to war. Or
I don't think they did. I think the president
right now,
makes
the Israelis have
Joe,
a different goal.
You're going to keep mentioning the Israelis. It's getting very boring and silly. The president made the decision. The president said he made the decision. The top brass. Do you think General Kane is a good general?
Yeah, he is a good general.
Do you think he's doing this because the Israelis want him to do it? How about CENTCOM General Cooper? Is he doing it? Is he in service? Is he in service to the Israelis too?
Neither of them are responsible for taking us off the war. The important thing is what took us off the war.
But they didn't resign in a public letter like you did either. Hey, Joe, I want to thank you for coming on. I really do. Wish you the best of luck.
Best of luck. I decided I'm not going to say best of luck anymore. That sounds a little bit voodoo-ish when you really think about it. What is luck? You know, what is luck? Let's see here. We got some people weighing in on this thing. Let's see here. Jason in Omaha, Nebraska. Hi.
Hey, Mr. Kelly. How are you doing?
All right, fine. What's up?
Well, I have to say I missed that particular episode of Mark Levin's show, but what I heard on WABC today was awesome. He really handled that guy well. And as for Joe Kent, I think he is a fraud. I have read his bull crap he is spewing on X, and I'm wondering if he should also be deemed a traitor. You know, he turned his back on the United States during time of war by slandering not only, us, but Israel too, and just a lot of stuff.
So I have refrained from calling him a traitor, okay? Because I think he's a scoundrel and a jerk and dumb. Is this aiding and abetting the other side? Even if it does look, it's a free country, right? You're allowed to do these things. You're not allowed to give intelligence to the enemy or anything like that would help him. I don't think the enemy can do anything with that dopey intelligence. I mean, Democrats can, right? And I also think you can disagree with a war and not be a traitor. So I don't say he's a traitor, but I say he's a real lowlife, and he's just a wannabe famous person and a wannabe politician. That's what I think. Hey, you know what you may want to do, Jason? His book. I'm going to read you some of the quotes from the book. It's unbelievable, the crap that he writes. He didn't realize anybody was going to read this book someday. All these exploits of him in Iraq. And he admits that he just spent time loafing and drinking and hitting on women. I saw some of that myself. I was in Iraq. I spent a fairly decent amount of time over there. I don't go around counting up all the times I went and saying, I've been there 16 times. Anyway, Jason, how are things in Omaha? Good?
Yeah, it's a little bit chilly, but for the most part, it's good.
I appreciate it. You live near, what's his name, the rich guy, Buffett? Do you live near his house?
No, I actually reside in Bellevue, but I'm at a cousin's house right now.
All right. Thanks for calling. I agree with you. Mark Levin did a great job. Let's see here. John in Florida. Hello.
Hey, Greg. How you doing? I just wanted to add to your discussion about when they were young, good, and when they got older, bad. When you talk, well, of course, the guy you just talked to, Jack, and Mueller also. But another guy that I knew well, I worked in New York City for many years, a guy that's in radio. So if you haven't worked with him, no, you were in radio after. But he was the same thing, and I knew he was.
What do you mean
really
the same thing?
Guy.
What? What do you mean by same thing? What? What do you mean? Young, good, bad, older? What? What are you saying?
He was a really a good guy when he was younger, and then it turned out years later, that he turned into, a creep, actually.
Who?
He's dead now, but I'm talking about Dave Herman, so I guess I could bring it up.
I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
Oh, man, look him up. He was in,
why do you say he was a good guy then a creep?
And he was really a good guy.
Why do you say, how was he a good guy, and how was he a creep? Describe him being a good guy, describe him being a creep.
He was well liked in all over Manhattan and in the New York area, and probably nationally. He was on PLJ and ABC and all that. He's a disc jockey, and he's really a smart guy. I knew him because he was a customer of mine when I sold cars in New York for a lot of years, and he was a customer of mine for a bunch of years in the 80s and early 90s.
I feel like I'm about to be Baba Booeyed, but keep going.
No, you're not. I'm not actually talking about.
All right, so what? Okay, he was well liked and a nice guy, and he was good at being a DJ. Why do you say how was he creepy? How did he go creepy? What was creepy about him?
2013, they got caught in a government sting where they found out that he was trying to hook up with the mother of which was false, but false. It was part of the sting. He was trying to hook up with a woman who said that she was happy to. She found out about his likes for young girls, and he kind of fell into the whole thing, and he wanted to get hooked up. And
all right, I'm looking at it right now. A retired New York radio personality was indicted by a federal grand jury Tuesday. Oh boy, for attempting to transport a 7-year-old girl. It turned out it was like some 45-year-old dude, right? Was this real or a sting operation? Let's see here. David Herman, 78, of Airmont, New York. Where the hell is that? And St. Croix was arrested October 13th. HSI special agents at the St. Croix airport where he expected to meet the child. He was indicted Tuesday. Bad stuff here. Herman believed he was communicating with a 36-year-old single mother of a 6-year-old daughter, but it was actually an undercover officer. By the way, I don't like those kinds of sting operations.
Well, I know, but apparently they knew about this guy being, maybe he did it with other little girls or something.
I doubt it. I actually doubt it. But I don't know. Let me ask you this. Other than this, which is not insignificant, I'm not trying to, but like, did you find him, I mean, is this why you say he's a creep? Because of this stuff? Which is sufficient. But guess what? If he was, maybe he was not such a great guy when he was younger, right? I mean, look, you can only know so much from a distance. You can only know so much, right? Oh, he seems like a nice guy. Well, who knows what the hell's going on? I'm sure he was a nice guy. I also know this. This is weird stuff. I also want to know, quite frankly, do federal agents get off on this kind of stuff? Are some of them getting their kicks talking about this crap at work? Did David Herman in some recess of his mind think that, hey, maybe I'm talking to an adult and we're just kind of acting out, here a little bit? People think I'm crazy, but there was this dude a couple of years ago who was on a chat room group, and you know what they were into? Cannibalism. Eating people. Now, hey, whatever floats your boat, right? Except if you do it. Except if you do it in real life. You're allowed to, I guess you're allowed to have fantasies, and you're allowed to have dark fantasies. And this guy was talking about how much he wants to eat a person. And he's going to club him in the back and then drag him home and eat him. And it was a cop. Anyway, his wife found out some of the chats, and this guy's like, hey, man, I'm just shooting my mouth off. I have a fetish. Well, I think ultimately he was found not guilty, but he went through hell. Now you could say, well, that's creepy and that's crazy. Well, yeah, but being creepy and crazy is actually not illegal if it involves consenting adults and you're not actually killing it. You know what I mean there? What's your name again?
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
You've gone on so long. Hey, I was surprised that I got on this long, but I brought up a pretty good point. I'm sure you would agree. And
I don't even know what. Wait, I mean, I don't know what the point is. I mean, Dave Herman had some trouble. Yeah, I know people are complex and weird, and the federal government, going there and doing that stuff and talking about that stuff. And let me guess, they were exchanging pictures, right? Were they exchanging pictures? Was the federal government sending and receiving pictures? Were they guilty of some of this stuff? I wonder. Anyway, thank you, John, very, very much. Very interesting. Dave Herman, I vaguely remember. And I vaguely remember. Apparently, he's no longer with us. Okay, the other thing that we wanted to do is tell everybody about the emergency medical kit that I have and that you should get. Because flu season, flu season sometimes is all year round. And when somebody in my family gets sick, everybody gets sick. And then suddenly you're fighting to see a doctor or you're stuck waiting in a crowded urgent care. But not this year. I'm ready. I ordered a medical emergency kit. It's been a lifesaver. My kit is stocked with essential prescription medication, antibiotics like a generic Z-Pak to help you recover faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, and ear infections, prescriptions for nausea, UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's simple. Match your symptoms in the guidebook. Call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Start treatment early. Feel better faster. No waiting rooms. No pharmacy lines. I love my emergency medical kit, and you should get one too. I got you $45 off when you use my code Greg. Just go to urgentcarekit.com/Greg. Urgentcarekit.com/Greg. That promo code is Greg, and we thank you.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
As somebody who fought myself 11 combat deployments, I spent most of my 20s and 30s in Iraq. Throughout 11 combat deployments, I saw the failures of the government establishment. I had the honor of serving our country for a little over 20 years as a Green Beret, went to combat 11 times.
Most of his 20s and 30s in Iraq. To me, most would be a majority. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Mr. Producer? I love it when Mark Levin says that. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell he spent 10 years in Iraq. All right? He's just a son of a bitch. And then wherever he went, that was the message. 14 times, 11 times, cut 20.
I had the honor of serving our country for a little over 20 years as a Green Beret, went to combat 11 times for this country. I went to war 11 times for this country, served for 20 years. I spent a little over 20 years in the military defending our country, went to combat 11 times.
All right, 11 times, got it. Now, that doesn't mean anything to me, but boy, oh boy, does it mean a lot to the podcasters, the media, liberals sometimes, and conservatives sometimes. Cut 21.
Mr. Kent has 20 years of military service and 11 combat deployments.
As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times.
11 combat deployments.
Deployed to combat 11 times.
As a guy that's highly revered, like I said, the Chief Warrant Officer Kent was 11 combat tours.
Yeah. That's no big whoop. That is no big whoop. Believe me. All right. I went into his book. All right. I find one of these deployments lasted from the spring of 2016 until June of 2016. It's very vague about when he leaves and when he comes back. Right. Now, that to me is anywhere from 3 months to 2 weeks. Spring. Technically, it was the spring. May is spring. June is spring. Right? Just and people fall for it all the time. It's the military soft coup that is almost always underway, and too many people are duped into playing right along because I don't want to look like I'm not supporting the troops. How many times have we caught the troops lying to us? How many sons of bitches on Capitol Hill over the years told us that we were doing so good in Afghanistan right up until the time we lost? It's a culture of deception. And sometimes it started from probably a can-do attitude, right? Sir, yes, sir, we'll get that done. And then that became, sir, yes, sir. Oh boy, how are we going to outmaneuver the boss on this one? How are we going to fool the boss on this one? How are we going to present something as reality when it's not reality? I saw a little bit of this when I was in the Marine Corps, actually. The Harrier was a notoriously faulty jet, always breaking down, one engine, susceptible to foreign object debris, right? But we gotta be ready for the mission. We gotta be ready for combat. How do we show these broken down, dilapidated jets to be full mission capable? Creative accounting. Very creative accounting. And sometimes you'd have a mishap or a crash. You could have a Class A mishap, which is $1 million worth of damage, a Class B mishap, which was $500,000, Class C mishap, which was $100,000. And the trick was, to get a $500,000 down to a $100,000, $1 million damage down to $500,000. I remember one guy got a B down to a C, and they said, hey, pretty soon we're going to make money off of this crash, right? It's a catch-22. It's an absurd system. Not to say that it's totally dysfunctional, but a lot of it is dysfunctional, like any system. People are dysfunctional.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?